Welcome back to the Limelight, everyone. I'm your host, Bri, and on today's episode, we'll be taking a dive into the K-pop genre on our second episode of The Corner.
Welcome to the Limelight.
Our special guest for today's episode is the Limelight's Adi. Yes.
Yay!
Woohoo!
Hello, everyone. I'm Adi. I am the editor-in-chief of the blog on the Limelight. I don't really do podcast episodes usually, but this is one of my favorite topics ever, so of course I'm
you
here.
are again.
Yes. Hello.
Yippee. Also, disclaimer. K-pop fans, please don't come for us. This is solely our opinions.
I nothing we're saying. We're not asserting anything as fact.
At all.
This is just our opinions. Yeah. We're gonna be respectful, obviously, about everything.
Oh, for sure.
But
Well, yeah.
Whoa. So we asked for the same.
Yes.
Yeah. We love K-pop.
We love K-pop. We got our chai lattes, we got our cookies, and we're ready to dive in.
And you should get a cookie and some chai too.
Yes, you should. Indulge with us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, K-pop is a genre created in South Korea, as we all know. The genre can be dated back to the late 1940s when South Korea was in a financial crisis. Now, I don't know if this was true or not, but in my research, this is what I found consistent within most websites that I was reading. The leaders decided to use music as a way to better the image of the country and their cultural influence.
Yay, soft power.
Yeah. Okay. But the 90s was the main time that K-pop really sculpted itself, I guess you could say, because I feel like trap music was the biggest thing before the 90s. And then once the 90s hit, I don't know what shifted, but they did something. In the 90s, Seo Tae-ji and the boys debuted with a song called I Know that charted in Korea, selling 1.7 million copies. Their popularity grew, and Korea's music industry shifted its focus to tailoring towards the teenage age group, as that group was the most popular at the time. Honestly, still now, I feel like.
I mean, Generation Z is the most profitable generation to market to. So,
oh, for sure.
Of course.
But we're all getting old. Okay.
As of now it is, and then it'll change. It always does.
This resulted in the birth of groups like Sechkiss, HOT, SES, and Shinhwa. Groups at this time took heavy inspiration from genres like R&B and hip-hop for their music, especially SES and honestly all of them. But SES specifically, because I remember seeing this video once, and someone made a side-by-side of TLC, TLC's music video for No Scrubs, I think.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
I think I saw this.
I don't remember what SES song it was. I think it was the one that aespa covered. Never no
Dreams Come True?
Yes, I think it was those two, and it was basically bar for bar the same music video. It was kind of crazy, but yeah, Lee Soo-man was the founder of the first K-pop company, SM Entertainment. And basically, he studied Western music. He studied the Western music industry, and specifically studied artists like Destiny's Child and TLC and Michael Jackson, to name a few. He took what he studied back to Korea and applied them to the groups that were under his company. And basically, other companies grew, and we got companies like YG Entertainment and JYP, and they essentially followed suit.
And those are if you don't know, the big three companies in Korea. I mean, maybe not anymore because we'll get to that, but there's also HYBE, so it's kind of become the big four.
Yeah.
But yeah, SM, JYP, YG, and HYBE are the biggest K-pop labels, I guess, in Korea. I guess we could talk about our experiences personally with K-pop first, in terms of kind of preconceived notions that either we had or people around us have had, and then how we got into it and stuff like that.
Do you want to go first?
I can go first. I
Okay.
mean, to be honest, I don't think I had a lot of familiarity with the genre before I like really got into it. Like the average person I knew of like Gangnam Style, and I also knew like Orange Caramel's Catalina. Like I don't know why that music video like passed me. Yeah, love that. Love that.
They were so.
The campiness was
It was
off the
so
charts.
campy.
And DigiPetty, I think, did that music video, and I still love that production company. But anyways, I think that like specific genre of K-pop is like very campy. Like it's not too self-serious. It's very fun. So I didn't really know like I think how much depth there was to the genre before I got into BTS, which was my first K-pop group. I think I watched like it was like a YouTuber that I was following in like 2016, and she reacted to the Blood, Sweat, and Tears music video. She didn't like really do any K-pop content before that.
Yeah.
So that was like my first interaction with it. And I just remember I was like, this song is really good, but I didn't really think of much past that. And I like had it downloaded on my phone for like a few months. And I don't remember what shifted, but I think I finally was like, let me like look at what else they have. And it just like, oh, like it just opened my mind. I was like, whoa, what is this? It was so magical to me as like a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
But that was my like initial entrance. What about you?
Basically, for me, I was obsessed with Gangnam Style when it first came out, but that was basically the extent to it. I mean, because I was very into like YouTube at that time. I think I listened to a couple more Psy songs like past then. Like I loved Gentleman and New Face, but getting into actual K-pop also. Okay, crazy story time. Not even really, but I had to delete Snapchat when I was in middle school, and so instead,
Where is this going?
instead of having Snapchat, I wanted to have another type of social media that was similar to Snapchat because I was chronically online as a middle schooler already. And so I downloaded Snow, the Snow app. God. And
of all apps to pivot to, is it because you like the filters?
I loved the filters. That's all I used. And so I would literally just use the Snapchat filters or the Snow filters 24/7. And at the time, Twice had their Knock Knock filter, and you were basically JYP because in the music video they he's knocking on the door, and they open up the door, and then there's JYP, and that was the filter. And so
wasn't he in pajamas or something too? Yeah, that is crazy.
And literally I was obsessed with that filter. I knew nothing about K-pop, but I was obsessed with that filter, and that was technically my first K-pop song. Basically, I was in my friend's basement one day, and Singularity came out.
Oh my goodness.
And
that was a collapse.
Oh, for sure.
That's one of my favorite BTS solo songs ever.
It's definitely top 3.
It's so good, and the choreography is crazy.
It's beautiful.
As a
the
package.
Coat hanger.
Yes. Oh my god. His hand. Someone who hasn't seen this probably has no idea what we're talking about.
Oh, but pause this. Watch that. Come back.
Yeah,
you'll get it.
Oh, him. Acting and acting his own hand is someone else. That changed my life. That was crazy.
That changed my life for the better, for sure. And that was my first impression of BTS and that song ever.
It was so funny.
But after a while, I think that was my first, and then after a while, I don't know what switched for me either, but I decided to go ahead and get into BTS and see what they were about, and I ate it up. I loved it.
I was ARMY.
And plus, Love Yourself Tear was the best, one of their best eras. So
I have such good memories with that album.
It's so good.
It was so good. Oh my god, just us being there for that period of time, being a fan from, because I think I can say I was officially a fan literally the day Spring Day came out, that music video came out, because I just remember being in the car. I was my first comeback experience with them, and I was whoa, this is it was just it was so fun and cool, new life experiences, just in enjoying a celebrity or enjoying music and stuff like that. And just seeing how they grew from that time, because they were already big. But from that to just them blowing up crazy in 2017, wow.
And I feel that 2017, 2018 of becoming a new ARMY was crazy to see, because then you really saw how big they got, like really how big they got, because I feel like their peak in the Western media anyways was like Dynamite and Butter and all of that. Like that was their peak here
in terms of like numbers.
Yeah. And so I feel like seeing like going from like Spring Day to Butter, well, kind of crazy to see, I think.
Yeah. I think, I don't know, just like being a fan and like seeing the fan culture firsthand is like something that we've experienced ourselves. It's just such like an immersive experience. Like it's not just like you're listening to music. It's not just like you're like watching something, or like there's just so many different facets to K-pop. I think like the like entertainment content part of it, how much content there is in general, like
Run
it's
BTS.
just, it's so constant. Like there's just always, I get it because like it's a very saturated industry and like production costs and everything are high, so this is something they go out of their way to do.
Yeah.
But it's like there's just so much to interact with all the time. Like people will check for updates on their favorite group every single day, like literally every day, every single time they wake up in the morning, like they check for that. I
was gonna say I used to do that, but I'm not sure if I did. I feel like I'm lying, but I probably did, honestly. Actually, no. I had BTS's notifications on Twitter. That's what I waited for.
But it's like you just don't. I mean, I don't know a lot of people who are fans of Western artists that do that, unless it's like Taylor Swift or Harry Styles, like people that are that big.
Yeah.
But like the average K-pop fan, like of a group that isn't as nearly as big as BTS versus like mid-tier. That sounds like bad,
like,
but mid-tier, like not as well like heavily produced artists in the West, like their fans are not going to be checking on them every single day.
Right.
So it's interesting how like the way that you can get like the way that you can just kind of like sink into it, it doesn't matter how big or small the group is. Like there's like a certain level of expectation of like how much content is put out, like how many like avenues of engagement there are with the artist and the fan, and just like expectations for music to come out every few months and stuff like that. So it's like you're just constantly engaged. Like it's like that thing where it's like, have you seen those videos where like someone's like watching a TikTok but there's like Subway Surfer and Family Guy in the corner? Like that is very much K-pop.
I don't remember if I was talking about this. Maybe I was talking about this on like the last episode. But with BTS, like on top of the constant like music they were putting out, because I think I was saying last episode how there was like music coming out like almost like twice a year or like every single year, and it was like crazy because, well, at the time when I was standing, Hobie was the only one who had a single. Actually, no, wait, yes, Hobie was the only one who had solo stuff out, which was a really good introduction to like BTS, because Hope World was great.
I love that album.
That is such a good album. And then after that, I remember being back to the content before I get into their solo stuff and where I was at the time. But you had like their solos, if they even had any. You had V Live when that was a thing.
That's so crazy. That's not a thing anymore.
I know.
I feel old.
I was talking to someone about that and they were like, Weverse Live, and I was like, whoa,
no,
I'm so sorry that I'm dating myself right now.
I feel it's funny because I see like videos of idols sometimes being like, what do you mean V Live's gone?
Like, what do you mean?
The same boat. Like imagine like enlisting and then coming back and being like, what happened to V Live?
Yeah. But you also had like Run BTS, and you had their Twitter. And it's crazy to think that they'd even have an Instagram at the time. Like, I was thinking about this earlier when I was watching Red Velvet do their little dance for Chill Kill. But I was like, the promotions that K-pop idols do now, like,
it's so different.
It's so different than even like 2018, which is crazy to say because it wasn't that long ago. But people weren't like doing TikToks to their dances and like wasn't bringing in other like idols to do their dances on TikTok, you know, like that wasn't how they promoted their music. I can't even remember how they would promote their music before. I mean, they would go on like those shows, but other than that, I can't think of like other ways that they did to promote.
I think like the shift the shift from like third gen K-pop, fourth gen K-pop, and then now like questionably fifth gen K-pop, because like that as even a concept is so like debated for some reason. I don't know how you feel about like how generations are kind of like denominated, is that the word, or like decided. But in my opinion, there has to be like some sort of industry shift.
Yeah.
So like the third gen to fourth gen shift was basically like, I think that was kind of like a BTS thing in terms of just like they changed just kind of like the level of eyes that were on K-pop.
I agree.
And then also just like the groups that were coming out of labels, like there were new groups coming out, so like a new generation of idols from those companies. So like those two things. But then like this fourth gen to fifth gen shift is very debated. So I know it kind of came about when the Boys Planet show aired recently, and I think Mnet was saying that like the group Zero Base One would be considered a fifth gen group. Like that was the first time I remember hearing like
fifth gen.
Yeah, the word the phrase thrown around. But to me, I think fifth gen started like with New Jeans, because
I agree.
They very much represent like a post-COVID K-pop landscape, which is very different from everything that was happening even in fourth gen. Like you said with the TikTok dances, like I think that's something that came out of COVID. Like I feel like I remember it was like, was it Hwasa and someone else, like someone specifically, like I remember them doing their dance as like a TikTok.
Probably Hwasa, either Hwasa or Jessie.
It was.
But you know what also probably brought this whole TikTok thing, probably also them posting I can't remember what the actual name is, but how they have like the little line assembly dances where like the groups would do that and they would post it on TikTok or like on YouTube. I think also like those in a way also contributed.
I think she did it with Zico. It was at
was it?
What is that song?
Yeah. Zico song.
Wait, we need to look that up.
That was a fun one though. I hate Zico, but that was a fun one.
Let me see. What was that song? It was in 2019, I think, or 2020.
Oh my gosh. How does that song go?
Wait, I'm gonna.
It was Hwasa and Zico though. Either Hwasa and Zico or Jessie and Zico. I don't remember which one.
Let me see. See, this is what we mean by this is just like, it's called Any Song.
Any
song. This is what we mean by being like, don't take us too seriously, because we can't remember anything.
I like kind of remember this song now.
No, yeah, the dance, it was like
it was a hit.
It was so danceable, and like everyone started doing it, and I feel like that's what my recollection of like, and that was pre-COVID. Like the song came out pre-COVID, so I don't know when they did the dance, but
I think the dance was like either right before COVID happened or when COVID happened, because I feel like I remember being home and like seeing a bunch of those TikToks, like being in quarantine. Like I don't remember being like in school being like, oh my gosh, I want to do this in class right now, you know. Like I feel like I remember being at home and seeing that. But
yeah, I think virality is like a hugely contested thing in K-pop now. Like I hear a lot of complaints from fans about like artist development in general, and being like like groups just like aren't doing what they used to be doing, like the quality isn't there, like things about how rookie groups like can't sing or this or that. Like
honestly, I only agree with those arguments with some groups, because I feel like, but I feel like this has been happening for so long. Like I don't think this is a fifth gen problem. I feel like some idols are trained longer than others. Like you take Luna for example, like half of those members were training longer than the newer members. Like I think, what was it, Heiju was one day
training period,
bam, she was in the group. Like, but she's talented, so it's different. But but I feel like it all differentiates within like, you know, who it is. It's not all, I feel like it can't be used as an umbrella, you know,
I think
statement.
That whole conversation is very skewed, because I do remember the concept of there just being like a quote unquote visual member where like no one expected anything of them other than them being pretty. Yeah, like that's not a thing anymore.
It's not. All of them are hot.
Yeah, the expectations for rookie groups are like everyone has to be good. Yeah, there's like a standard with that, because you know, like if you can't even do that, then you don't have a chance. So I don't agree with like that being like it's degraded since pre K-pop, like other generations in K-pop. Like that is one thing. But in the topic of like Luna and Hyeju, like her having a 1-day training period, I think that's just like an interesting concept in general of like what the expectations are for idol groups in terms of training. Like why do they have to be perfect out the gate?
Right.
Like I feel like I feel like there's no reason for this to be like their promise of their debut to be dangled like a carrot on a stick.
Right.
Of like you need to be perfect at what you do before you're shown to the public.
Out.
Like
right.
I understand that people are mean and there's like a lot of pressure to like show perfection. But like just in terms of like whether we actually need that to enjoy music or to enjoy people, I don't necessarily think that is needed. Like why can't we improve on the job?
Right. I don't remember if this was in context to K-pop or just the music industry as a whole. Like I don't remember if this was a Western artist or if this was K-pop, but I'm pretty sure it was a Western artist. But you know how they used to do like MR remove? They still kind of do that now, but someone was talking about how I believe that no new artists, no new groups should be doing live vocals out the gate. I don't believe that they should, because especially if they're not trained well on dancing and singing at the same time in breath control, like while dancing, while singing, like if you know that they're not strong in that, why make them do live vocals for like their first or second performance? That's kind of weird. But with I don't remember where I heard this either, but they were saying that when you're a singer, you have to prove that you're good every single time that you do something, whether it's like a performance or an album or whatever it is. You have to prove that you're good every single time, because people are gonna try to prove you wrong every single time. You know, like a lot of K-pop artists, no, not K-pop artists, K-pop fans pray for the downfall of groups every day. And it's so crazy. Like I feel like when they do, like let's take Twice for example, I guess, because that's one I can remember. And going back to like MR removed videos, which is basically when they take away the music from live performances and they only keep in the vocals that they sang live during their performance, I guess. I think I just repeated what I just said. But for Twice, they had done like an encore performance, and well, they use Twice's vocals every time, but they're always like, oh, Twice can't sing because look, like here's their MR removed and they can't sing. And it's like, one, Twice pops out albums every single year. They pop out 2 albums every single year, a Japanese and a Korean album. So it's like they don't even get to like have a break with their voices. So I feel like it's not fair, but I feel like they're trying to prove themselves every single time they're out in public performing or doing an album. And it's kind of weird to me, because it's like, you know that they can make good music, you know that they can sing, why try to prove them wrong when they're doing live performances?
I think that like K-pop it's like always a question of what people like tune into it for. I'm like, I don't know if I want to say that. Yeah, cookie break. I don't know. I think K-pop is like, I think it's separate from like musicians in terms of like what people want from it. Like if they wanted a perfect like vocal performance, then they would probably not be a fan of a K-pop idol. And I don't mean that in a way that is like mean. I mean that in a way that it's like K-pop is just an industry that values performance, like, and performance means a lot of things. Like performance is finding like that balance between live singing, not live singing, dancing, facial expressions, like an engaging personality, this and that, and like all of these things have merit in their own ways. So to like be like, if someone can't sing perfectly, then they're not a good K-pop idol, I don't think that's a factual statement. I think that's just, yeah, I think that's like a skewed opinion. But it's hard because I do think that striving for like live performances like out the gate is like a good thing. It's more just like the reaction people get when they're not perfect. So it's like the question of like an internal thing versus an external thing. Like I think you can have people are gonna be fans of you like for whatever their own reasons are. So the people that don't like you just because you like your voice cracked or something like that, like screw them, I guess.
It's so interesting. And especially like they have to learn so much. I think I hate survival shows. I absolutely hate survival shows, but Island was my first ever survival show because I was like, okay, like it can't be as bad as what Mnet produces. Like it can't be.
Mine was Produce X101.
That just
if you know, you know.
So stressful. Like I could never. I always see people on like their timelines talking about it, and I'm like, I could never. But have fun. But
yeah, no.
everyone always seemed to have fun watching Island, so I tuned in. I think I watched the first episode and then I stopped watching, but then I jumped to when 17 was there, either that or BTS, I don't remember. Seeing like just how much they had to go through period was a lot, and I could really gauge how intense and how scary and how much effort every single person puts into becoming an idol. And I think it was an eye-opener, but as well as like just a better understanding and a better I appreciated and respected those people like idols more after seeing how Island was. And I know Island was definitely more tamer than anything that happens on Mnet. I forgot what show it is, but when they have like the different K-pop groups and they have to like compete. Kingdom.
But I think Island is also an Mnet show.
Is it actually?
Yeah. Because
That's
after
crazy.
the Produce X101 scandal, a bunch of K-pop survival shows came out the gate. None of them took the spot though. So
Whoa.
they this is like an aside. My thing is like I love how Boys Planet and Girls Planet like is just rebranded Produce. Like it's basically the same thing.
Oh, for sure.
Basically the same thing, and I can't complain about that because the formula worked. Like it's engaging to watch. So, but on the topic of just like what idols go through, I think it's like I have respect for it to some extent, but then I'm also just like, does it really have to be like this?
Yeah.
Like on top of like the obvious reasons, like these are children, just a lot of like verbal abuse, emotional abuse, like
Yeah.
physical abuse to some extent with just like weight and all of those things. Like we don't need all that.
We don't.
We really don't need all that. And not to plug my favorite group, but Triple S is one of my favorite groups, and I feel like they're a great example of we don't need to do this. Like they don't need to be like this. In the last episode you guys talked about NCT and like how their system is like was super new when it came out, and just like the idea of like having all of these different units under like the same umbrella and how cool that is. And I think Triple S has kind of done a similar thing, very pointedly. Like for anyone who doesn't know, there's 24 members in Triple S.
There is?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
There's
Why did I think it was like 7, 8?
No. There's 24 members. They haven't all been revealed yet. It's like a gradual reveal, kind of like Luna, because same creative director. And currently is housing 5 of the Luna members as Artemis. Yay. But Triple S, like, there's 24 members, so they don't all promote simultaneously. They are similar to NCT in that they promote in units, but the units aren't set. It's like a constantly rotating concept. So
kind of like Dream.
Yeah, kind of. It's kind of like NCTU actually. Like
Okay, yeah.
The which members are there and how many of them, like that can change. But the interesting part is that it's voted on by fans. So it's kind of like if you combine like a survival show mixed with like just a group that is not going anywhere. So what'll happen is like fans will get like demos, and then they vote which members get which demo or like which unit they're gonna be in based off of the demo.
That's so cool.
So
shout out to you, Triple S, because that is epic.
It's very fun. It's like you also get to kind of know what their year is gonna look like, because sometimes like the units will be like a few months apart, so it's like you'll just know like months ahead what is coming out to some extent. They always surprise you though, because it never sounds exactly like the demo. But point being, like, because they have the system where not everyone's promoting at the same time, they just get to be kids also. They get to go to school, they get to like have free time, they get to chill with their families, stuff like that. And also like the training period thing that we talked about with Luna, they're not necessarily super long. Like and they're not perfectly polished either, and that's like part of the charm. Like you see them improve in real time, and that is like engaging in its own way, I think. And their system, I think, is very closely based off of, I think it's AKB48. I don't know if I said that in the right order, but it's like the Japanese idol group concept, where I think those groups have even more members, like maybe hundreds. I don't know.
They really do.
But it's like a rotating thing where it's just like you're a fan of kind of the entity and you just engage with it in the ways that you want to. But that just kind of pulls into the question of like, do we really need these like super long training periods to make a successful group? Like, do children need to be like, I don't know, like trained into like a perfect, polished, like mistakeless media piece? Like,
yeah,
I don't
especially like right now, because most of the idols that are out right now or are about to debut, they're all children. So I feel like they shouldn't, out of any person that's in a group right now, they should not be getting the, you know, the lashings that most K-pop idols get, because I feel like going back to like the difference between 5th gen and even going back all the way to like 1st gen or 2nd gen, those people were way older when they debuted, besides like Shiny, I guess. Well, kind of, because some of them were adults, some of them were children, Taemin. But I feel like now people are more harder on K-pop groups, as we already said, but I feel like it's kind of unfair right now because most of them are children and they just want to live out a dream, you know?
K-pop has always had like young people debuting. Like I think IU also debuted at like 13, Taemin debuted at like 13, Jungkook also was like 14 or 15.
He was really young.
I don't think that's like a new concept. I think it's just like the avenues that we have to idols have increased exponentially, like Bubble and like Fab and Universe, like all these like parasocial messaging apps, like those didn't exist anymore. So like being able to like literally text an idol and kind of get an answer back, like that wasn't something that existed before.
Yeah,
the way that we get content now, like
majorly different.
Yeah, and just like also the amount of eyes on these idols, I think, is also increased because of how the industry is globalized. So I think, and maybe because like the fans are getting older with their fans are getting older, honestly. So we're also starting to notice, like, because when I was younger and like I knew that Jungkook debuted when he was like 13. I was 13, so I was like, oh, I'm old enough, like, you know. I was like, I don't care. But like now that I'm 20, I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah,
I would never want that for anyone.
It's more so like not that no one really like not that no one debuted when they were younger, but I feel like majority of the groups are like young, like children. Because I feel like before like Jungkook and Tae and Jimin were teenagers, and then like everyone else was in their 20s. Well, I use a soloist, so she kind of was on her own in that one, but and then Taemin was the youngest, and everyone else, I guess, I don't know, was what's his name, Key, are they like in the same age range? I don't know how old he is.
Sorry y'all, I don't know Shiny like that.
Really?
No.
Whoa. Oh, what? So they were both kids.
Oh wow.
So I think now it's more so the majority are kids versus when it was like 1 or 2 members, you know. You have, well, I really don't know, I can really only use New Jeans, I guess, as a example, because that's all I really know. I guess Rise as well, since I know them as well.
Oh yeah, they all debuted as adults. Rise,
really?
Yeah.
Why do I think there's some of them are still in school? I guess, yeah, they are in school for longer, but aren't they some of them younger than me?
I think they're all at least 2004.
K-pop profile. Okay, let's see.
K-pop profile is crazy.
2000. Love Shotaro. Love him. Okay. 01, 02, 03, 04. Oh wait, I forgot that they do these in order. Yeah, you're right. Then I guess just New Jeans, because I'm not informed on anyone right now, but I know New Jeans, some of them are still younger than us.
They all debuted before they turned legal in Korea, I think, because I know Minji and Hani are born in 2004, so they were 18 internationally, but in Korea they were still minors, so
Yeah. Oh five,
debuted as
06, 08. Oh 08. Oh my gosh.
yeah.
So some of them are Haein is the youngest.
I think she's like 14 or 15.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Aside from like the rude comments that they get, but they also get sexualized often. Also, K-pop idols talking about them sexually as well. I don't remember who. I think it was Bam Bam.
It was Bam Bam.
Yeah.
Got hidden from
Weird. That's weird.
Yeah.
So.
I think he said that she was like his ideal type or something like that, which she's a child.
She's 06, you're 30.
Old as hell.
Let's not do that. You're really old.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't love that. We really
He's
don't.
26 and she is 17, 16. That's weird. Yeah, but that's all I have to say with that one.
Yeah, I think the conclusion here is that we all want idols to debut older.
Yes.
For their conditions to be a little bit better and for people to be kinder on the internet and in real life, and just it's not that serious.
It's not that deep ever.
It's not. And that kind of takes us to like the parasociality of K-pop
And fan culture.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about it a bit before in terms of like how immersive being a K-pop fan can be. Like, it really can be your whole life if you want it to be. Like, there's so much content to engage with. There's so much to buy. So the retail therapy thing is there.
So many groups.
It's such a saturated industry now. And then concerts, light sticks, seasons greetings, albums.
Yeah.
Merch. You literally like, or you go to a cup sleeve that someone does in real life. You go to events. Like, there is constantly something to engage with. So it really can become your whole life.
Fan signings.
Yes. Hence people's kind of like intensity of emotion, I think, to anything that a K-pop idol does.
Yeah.
For better or for worse. I do think on like the plus side of that, one thing I find really wholesome about K-pop fans is like them, because they've studied like every centimeter of an idol's face. Like, they are like so endeared by random things.
Yeah.
Like, I have seen people being like, oh my god, I love that so and so's tooth is crooked on like their left molar or something like endearing. That. Like, it's a little bit creepy, but also like, aw.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
It's definitely interesting. Yeah, people, it's like that's also nerve-wracking as like an idol, because then it's like you have people watching you so intensely. Like, they know everything about like like your body in a way that like how many moles you have, like how you do your hair, if you wear glasses. I mean, that's common, but like it's very intense. And they could tell like, oh my gosh, like so and so used to have a double helix piercing, but now they don't wear one.
Or when like someone gets plastic surgery.
Yeah. Oh my god, my mom. Yeah, I know you're listening to this. But it's crazy.
Wait. She notices? Is that what you mean?
Oh no, she will be like watching like K-dramas, or I'll be like showing her like groups, or like I'll be watching music video and she'll be like, they got plastic surgery, they got a nose job, and I'm like, one, you're not a plastic surgeon. Like, you know nothing, I know nothing. Like, also, this is a child. Like, what are you talking about? But I heard that Jisung
from
NCT Dream, I heard this a long time ago, so this may be a rumor someone started for literally no reason, but I heard SM made him get like plastic surgery like either right before he debuted or like in between like his debut and something like that. And I was like, that's crazy, because when he debuted he was like 13.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I have seen like in real time, I won't say who because I'm not trying to not trying to direct this towards any specific idol, but I've seen idols like kind of just disappear for a few weeks, then come back with a new nose, and they're like 18, 17, 16. Like, that's normal. Maybe not, I'm not gonna speak for Korean society at large because I don't know anything about that, but just in terms of the K-pop industry, that's like not something that happens rarely. I see that all the time. So these expectations for children,
it's crazy. Like, they haven't even grown into their full face yet.
Yeah, it's like you didn't even get a chance. You didn't even give that nose a chance. Right. Like, it's also just, it's like a beauty standard thing in general, just like everyone kind of conforming to kind of the same visual like standard. What's the fun in that?
Right. Let's be unique. Let's have all like unique faces.
Yeah.
Speaking of like, well, I guess let's keep on with the fan culture before I steer it into like another area. I guess going back to Twitter, because that's really all I know. And that's like the main hub for fan culture, I feel like, especially since COVID happened. That's been the main hub.
I know TikTok has a pretty big K-pop community now also.
Yeah, I remember Instagram being a big one as well.
Really?
Yeah. Curate your little explore page to be simply K-pop. It's gonna get weird. But people are so interesting on Stan Twitter, especially on K-pop Stan Twitter. Whether it's people, hey, I'm not in that bubble. I know I said I got canceled 3 times, but I was telling the truth, y'all. I never tell a lie. But
that's what they all say.
That's what they all say. But I am right.
This is crazy.
No, my friends.
This is Confessions with Bri.
Yes, my friends love talking about that. That's like their number one favorite thing to ever say. Because someone threatened to like kidnap my mom, and I was like,
"Oh, that's crazy."
What are you? And it was an army, and I was like, "Dog, I'm on your side. Like we like the same people. What are you doing right now?"
It's crazy.
I just laughed because I was like, "This is like." Your death threats, like, what is this doing? Like, this is making me laugh genuinely. And I was like, I'm not even saying anything crazy.
That's the other parasocial thing. Just, like, fighting about people that don't know you exist. Because it's not about them at that point. It's like, you have tied your identity with this person. Like,
it's a personal attack to you.
Yeah. So, like, now this, like, any word against them is a word against you. Because publicly, like, this is your person. Like, this is all you talk about. Like, now it reflects badly on you if they do something bad.
Right.
So... yeah, that's a very double-edged... No, that's not a double-edged sword. That's just a sword. Like, that's just bad. Don't do that.
It's so interesting.
Like, you can like someone, but you should be able to announce when they do something bad.
Oh, for sure. I think parasocial relationships are getting more intense now, especially with a lot of idols who interact with other fans online. Again, I'm gonna use Rise because that's the only person that's the only group I've really been like keeping up with at this very moment. Not much, but they always seem to show up on my For You page somehow, some way. Maybe I just talk about them too much, but they interact with fans a lot on TikTok. Like, I'll be watching a regular TikTok, I look in the comment section, bam, Rise official. I don't even like. It's crazy, and I feel like they're really easy to communicate with. Like, it's so much easier. Like, I could be like, Rise outsold on their like on a TikTok, and they'll reply to me and be like, so true.
Yeah.
And it's like that's like your serotonin boost for the day, and it's like you can brag about that for days. And I feel like it just feeds into people's parasocial relationships, and it obviously it ties into it being like a personal thing, you know.
Yeah, one of my coworkers is also a K-pop fan. She's like a PR major, and I'm a music business major, marketing minor. And one of the things that I just remember us like nerding out about was Rise's social media marketing. Just like, it's so good. It's so good. Like, this is like a new level of like bringing it home, you know.
It's so smart.
It's like, I know it's probably not them like all the time. I'm sure maybe once in a while they log into that account, but their social media intern, like, this idea of them like stitching TikToks and like going on other people's TikToks where they're like maybe vaguely mentioned or not at all mentioned, I'm not sure, and like very appropriately and like in a fun, lighthearted way interacting with fans, like, that's just leveled, like, that's a new level. That's like, we're going past K-pop idol and into influencer, like, full influencer territory. And I know those things are intertwined, but it's just like, yeah, that's gonna cause another shift. Yeah,
I was about to say, it adds on to the whole 5th gen thing and how it's kind of different from how 4th gen and 3rd gen have been promoting themselves and how they go about kind of promoting their groups.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's really crazy out here. Like, and it's like every time I think that it's like gotten to the highest extent it can reach, something surprises me.
It goes higher.
But I think it's an interesting thing about like these shifts in the K-pop industry, like, kind of goes into the same topic of like generations in K-pop. Like, I feel like the groups in my head of like most recently, because I know second gen and like first gen, they had their own thing going on. I'm not that educated on it, so I won't speak on it, but in terms of third, fourth, fifth, like BTS, Blackpink, and New Jeans, like just them creating such like massive shifts in their own ways in the industry. Like BTS, we kind of already talked about, like kind of just like this huge push of like globalization of the industry, kind of proving that like the longevity of K-pop groups, the legitimacy of K-pop groups, they started getting taken more seriously globally. Like they do have selling power. Like it's like the same like kind of like misogynistic idea that like, oh, like boy groups like shouldn't be taken seriously because their fans are all just like teenage girls that are in love with them or whatever. But regardless of that just being bullshit, they are bringing in money in, like massive amounts of money in. And I think that just kind of bolstered the industry tremendously. I'm sure a lot of kids wanted to become idols after that, and we're kind of seeing the aftermath of that now. And then with Blackpink, they have their own specific influence in a lot of ways, but in terms of just like the third to fourth gen K-pop shift, I think third gen K-pop girl groups, like especially with Twice kind of being at the forefront, was a lot of like very cutesy, like lighthearted, fun releases, and then they were like, no, we're gonna do like all the way to the other end, like sexy girl crush. Like they all debuted adults, mature out the gate, blew up out the gate. Like that was one of the most anticipated debuts ever.
Were they they weren't one of YG's first girl groups, were they?
Not first, but I think they might have been second.
I think that they influence girl crush for the newer generation girl groups.
Yeah, I think everything comes in waves, like in terms of like whether boy groups are kind of like reigning supreme or girl groups are reigning supreme, or like what is trending and what's not trending. And I think Blackpink really turned the tide on that for fourth gen. But that aside, I think also just their integration into like the Zeitgeist of the West, like just kind of like the public consciousness is really interesting, because they to me stand out in just like how much influence each of them have individually. And I think that that's also something very specific to them, because even more so than maybe even BTS, like people know the individual members of Blackpink.
Yeah, for sure.
Part of that I think is because there's less of them, and part of that I think they're all just very brandable. Like,
and they're also really into the industry. Like they're all very into whatever they're interested in. They're very in that industry. Like Jennie's very into the fashion and modeling industry, and Lisa's very into the K-pop industry because she loves to dance. She's very in the dancing community. Rose, fashion as well, I think, right?
They all have brand deals across the board.
They were just at something for Prince Charles or King Charles.
I don't remember what that was, but they all looked so good. They were all wearing like the most beautiful gowns ever.
I just remembered that when Lisa first debuted, she really wanted to be like FX's Amber. Like she wanted to be Amber, so she like, I don't remember if she had short hair all around. I think she did, or if it was just like a side of her hair cut off, but she was ready to be the next Amber.
I didn't know that.
And they were like, no, sorry. I'm so sorry.
I did not know that.
Watch the Blackpink documentary on Netflix. It's not that bad. It's pretty good.
I think I did. I just don't remember that. That was fun. That was a good documentary. But yeah, and then Blackpink and then New Jeans. Oh my god, New Jeans. Just like,
I love you, New Jeans.
Just a new level of like Western integration. Like I think that's the biggest shift in quote unquote fifth gen. It's just like K-pop is not as specific anymore in terms of like the people listening to it. I know people that don't listen to K-pop at all, like outside of a few New Jeans songs they have in their playlist. Like and that goes for a lot of groups. Like some people just have a Le Sserafim song in their playlist, an aespa song in their playlist, an IVE song in their playlist, and like that is like the shift now. Like I think K-pop being so prominent on TikTok is a part of it. Like 50/50 blew the fuck up on there. I would hear Cupid in the most random places.
Why was I hearing Cupid in the store? I was like, oh
yeah, like it was everywhere. And just like you don't need to be a K-pop fan to like K-pop anymore. That doesn't have to be a tied to your identity to like it. And you know, it's been like that for a while, but I just think it's like a new level, and I think New Jeans has kind of ushered that in. Maybe not completely by themselves, but they definitely like mark that in history of like,
oh, for sure,
this is now just like we're all a part of this now. And I think that has really kind of affected the way that K-pop releases function, the way the albums function. Like
they kind of ate with how their albums are.
New Jeans.
Yeah, how their albums are designed, like physical.
Oh yes, I love that.
Especially
like,
their debut one, the little bag.
purse.
That was cute.
They just get it. Like
They
they
really do.
get it in terms of you don't have to be a New Jeans fan to find their things cute. Like
Nope.
it's not just their faces. It's like just an objectively cute item that you would want to have. So yeah, like I feel like a lot of K-pop albums are either like really simply designed or it's just like the idol's faces put on them.
Yeah.
And no one's gonna care about that unless you're already a fan.
Right.
So New Jeans is like just like visual like ecstasy. It's just so good to look at. Like aesthetically it's so pleasing. So visual, I mean it makes sense because Min Hee-jin is like a photographer. I don't know what else she does, but I know that photography is like her biggest thing. So the fact that they're like so visually centered, it makes sense.
I'm surprised. I think Ditto really put them on the map, but I think Ditto was one of their best, like, I say music video, but that was their debut as well, right? No, it was Attention. Ditto was so good. I really love Ditto. I just want to say that I love Ditto.
Yeah, that was,
and the whole concept for Ditto and how there was 2 music videos. And
yes, I love how they do that because they debuted with Attention, but they also had like it was a visual album. Every B-side had a video, and Hype Boy had 4, and it introduced all of them.
Yeah.
So just like stuff like that. A part of that is just like high budget, Adore budget. Like they have so much money to do all of that. But yeah, they have fun with that money. Like it feels like it's being used in like productive ways. Like same with the most recent rollout. I don't know if all of the music videos had a video. I think they kind of did because they combined Cool With You and Get Up, but like most of them had a video. Yeah, just like a very I find it really fun when kind of a K-pop group is known for being creatively interesting. Yeah. Like, not to shit on anyone, that's not like shade towards anyone. But that was BTS's appeal too. Like, they had before the Love Yourself era, they had the Young Forever release and like
oh my gosh,
lore. It was all lore.
The lore, I forgot about K-pop lore, and I think that's the most appealing thing about K-pop. I mean, not really, but
it pulls on your heartstrings.
It really does. I remember becoming a BTS fan for the first time. I wish I said this earlier, but I remember becoming a BTS fan for the first time and like watching a video on the lore and completely forgetting that this was about the lore and hearing like Hobie's part of the lore and literally crying. So I was like, I can't believe his family abandoned him at an amusement park. That's so sad. And then I remembered that it was literally just their lore, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, it's like there's so much world building in it. It's like if anyone's like a video game fan, it's kind of like that. Yeah, like there's just so many.
They had the webtoon. They had. Was there a game?
There was it, but that was a different. There was like a game where you play as their manager or something like that.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, is that BTS World? Yeah. And they had like a whole like soundtrack rollout for that.
That was good.
Yeah, those were some crazy collabs.
Oh,
they had Juice WRLD, Charlie XCX. Who else?
Zara Larsson, and they all ate down.
Like what a time. But yeah, BTS stands out in terms of lore. ATEEZ stands out in terms of lore.
And Hyphen.
Digipedi, I love you. Like
even though
their videos are beautiful. And then Luna was such like a.
That was probably my favorite, even though I didn't understand it completely because it was all over the place. That was them, BTS, and I don't know ATEEZ's lore. I should look into that.
It's very like dystopian. Like,
are they pirates?
Yeah, I think they are. I don't know it super in detail. I just like see the visual stuff they come out with. Like, yeah, for people that don't know, Digipedi is like a video production company. They've worked on so many different K-pop music videos, like EXID's like Up and Down, Orange Caramel's Catalina. Like that was its own like visual era, and then they did like almost all of Luna's visual catalog. Yes. And then they work with ATEEZ. They work with a lot of groups, but like those are like things that stand out to me. Yeah, the creatives in K-pop are so cool.
Oh, Red Velvet is also a good one. They have good lore.
I don't know Red Velvet lore that well, other than just killing men, which is
I also don't know it that well, I'm not gonna lie, but I like the concept of they kind of play with their lore, how they also like their lore and then their albums go hand in hand, because they have like the red type of albums and then they have the Velvet albums, and they have like 2 different type of feels. I think Chill Kill is a Red album because I heard the title track and it's kind of like,
I thought that was a Velvet one.
maybe, is it Velvet?
I think Velvet's the more R&B side,
Yeah.
and then Red is like
Kind of like
Russian roulette,
Russian,
like
right.
red flavor. Yeah, is that what it's called in English?
Mm-hmm.
I was silently like dancing to it. Yeah, no, I think that's another big thing about like the way that K-pop groups used to differentiate themselves versus now. Like everyone had a shtick.
Yeah.
Like everyone had like one thing that was like specifically theirs. And I don't think that's like a common thing with K-pop groups that much anymore. Like maybe I'm just not keeping up with everyone. Like obviously they have like their own branding, but in terms of just like such strict things like Red version or like Red side, Velvet side, like those sorts of like gimmicks, I don't see those as much anymore.
Yeah. I to do my little research on 5th gen groups, I watched a little 5-minute video. And this video was ranking like all like 5th gen debuts, but I wanted to just see like how their concepts were looking and how like their debut song sounded and like how are they coming out the gate. And what I realized is that most of them are very similar in a way. I think a lot of them are trying to be, I feel like period, in K-pop you're really trying to be trendy, like that's the main goal. But I think now you can tell that TikTok is like #1 ruler of the music industry right now, and you can really see that in the dance moves and in the concepts and how they dress. It's very streetwear right now, which is really cool, but they're all very similar in a way. I think ones that really stood out to me were Triple S, of course.
Yay.
Zero Base 1, 2, they had really good music. 50/50, but 50/50 is no more. New Jeans, of course. And then Young Posse. Have you heard Young Posse's song?
Is that the macaroni song?
Yeah.
I think I just saw like clips of it. But
I remember how the song goes. Macaroni and cheese. Macaroni and cheese.
I did see that.
That one's unique because why do you have a song called Macaroni and Cheese?
Right. It's getting crazy. Yeah, I am so biased towards Triple S, so that was, I mean, I really like New Jeans' debut also though.
Yeah.
But we love you, Triple S.
We love you, Triple
We
S.
love you.
And Lucembo, of course.
Are like Artemis and Lucembo considered 5th gen? I feel like they're not.
They don't have to be.
I don't think they are. I feel like they've been around, you know. But I'm forgetting what
we got, like the downfall of boy groups.
Oh yeah, the downfall of boy groups.
This also goes into like the 5th gen groups I saw, but I feel like when I say that a lot of them were similar, I wasn't really talking about the girl groups. I feel like the 3 kind of categories that girl groups are in are like Girl Crush, Bubblegum, or a secret third thing. But they all had something new, something like new to offer. They all sounded very different. But we already talked about this, how it's kind of like a myth that all boy groups kind of sound the same and how they all are like basically kind of copying one another in a way. But I do believe that they all want to achieve the same thing. Kind of like, I think a lot of boy groups right now are trying to hit like the boy crush type of feel, and I don't think a lot of companies are working hard enough at it. But I kind of just gathered that strictly from their debut, so it could be different now because I really only watched their debut and saw like what they were doing in that area. But
I'm a little like perplexed by boy groups right now. Like people keep saying like it's over for them, like because objectively like girl groups are kind of dominating the charts right now. Like it's really hard for boy groups to chart, for whatever reason. I'm not gonna act like I know what that is, but just kind of like I don't get it. Like I don't understand kind of what's going wrong, if that's like the right way to say it, or just like where the lack of interest is coming from, because it's not that there's not boy groups doing different things or new
at all,
things.
because you have Zero Base 1, you have Rise, you have only one of is probably one of the most versatile, but besides like TXT, they're one of the most versatile boy groups I've ever seen.
They're so interesting. They like are so niche, and I think that that's almost always been to their like it's a strength of theirs. Like, there's no group like them. So if you want that sort of content, you got to go to them.
Mm-hmm.
But even for them, like, it's not that easy to kind of like rise above everything that's that's you're able to listen to right now. It's just I think that I don't know what it is. Like, it's not that everyone's just doing Boy Crush. It's not that everyone's just doing like BTS 2.0, because that was an era of K-pop where like everyone was trying to do
weird. I think that was so weird.
It makes sense though because of how successful they are, but everyone was trying to do Young Forever Lore Part 2, and it just wasn't working. And I think it's hard to foster interest for a new group, like especially in terms of lore and stuff like that, because lore is like a very self-important thing. It's like, okay, we're in the galaxy, we're fighting some random villain, everyone has superpowers, why do I care about this, you know? Like, unless I'm like into the plot already because I care about the members, like you have to find some other way to grasp people. And I know that Zero Base One's debut did well, and I'm sure part of that is also because they came out of a show, so like everyone got to see everything the members went through in real time and they were voted for, so already the interest is fostered there. And then on Rise's end, they have NCT members in the group, and the first SM boy group to debut since NCT. So they kind of had these like boosters to some extent, but for everyone else it's just kind of like trying to keep your head above water. Like,
I think it's interesting because again, with like not parasocial relationships, but I think about groups like P1 Harmony who aren't in like a big four company, and how like they kind of got bigger because of members like Kehoe, because of how iconic his lives are, Weaver's lives are, and
his Instagram lives. I don't know what they're using.
I don't know what they're using, but I think
TikTok live is crazy.
I think his attitude and people like knowing how he was pre-debut, and just like them seeing him as iconic and him bringing in the appeal for people to like want to be interested in the group, I think is also a big thing, because I feel like they're not, along with everyone not having like a set role anymore, which I agree with, like they don't need a set role anymore. I feel like having a visual and being like, that's all you do. Sorry.
The government assigned personality traits.
That
like,
sucks.
I'm happy that it's over.
Same. But I feel like I don't want to say that they're not interesting because that's really mean, but I feel like they're not showing their personalities, which is what's having them fall behind. And I could be totally wrong because I'm not in with anything. Like, I don't know anything anymore, but I feel like people aren't really seeing, I think people want a stronger connection to these people now, and they're not really seeing it anymore, or kind of with these new groups, probably because they just debuted, so they're not really in that area range yet. But
I feel like it's also like a visibility thing, like in terms of just like to be able to show your personalities and stuff like that. Like, you have to get people's attention, and when you're fighting against just like so much noise, which is like everyone in the music industry, K-pop aside, I mean, like, just to get to the point of someone caring about your personality is hard enough. And I think also just conceptually there's not that much that stands up in terms of like what girl groups are doing. Like, visually I think of like ATEEZ, and performance wise they stand out just because of like how hard they go, how much money is being poured into those music videos. Like, the bouncy music video is glorious. I'm not even an ATEEZ. I just objectively, I'm like, that music video is so cool. Yes, and the dance is also just so like danceable. They just have that formula down. Like, they get it. They also have like a niche that they stick to, and they do it well. I feel like that like lack of niche is kind of getting in the way a lot. Like, my personal opinion is like a lot of the issues that people have with K-pop groups are like in terms of consistency, in terms of like what their creative direction is. Like, everything can just be traced back to who's on their team. Like, creatives come in and go out all the time. Like, the turnover rate is pretty high for that. So if like if a group that you like just suddenly starts doing something completely different, there's a reason for that. Like, someone left, someone new came in, something like that. So just from that perspective, I feel like it's no coincidence that like Luna blew up. It's no coincidence that New Jeans blew up. Like the people at the helm of those projects like have such a strong vision for what they wanted the projects to be in there. They saw it out, not completely saw it through in terms of Luna, but trying to now. But they are in it for the long term. So like there is a plan from the beginning. I don't feel like that's the same for every K-pop group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. The downfall of boy groups, a mystery.
Yeah.
Who knows?
We're not really sure what's going on, and I think they'll get there.
I agree too. I mean,
they'll get back.
I feel like it's just a cycle.
It is.
You know,
this one's just taking a little bit longer.
Yeah, and I was about to say, how we were saying that girl groups are trending right now. I feel like most industries, which has been nothing for forever, but I think that they're really just trying to figure out what's trendy right now and what can get them the most money, and that's at the moment girl groups. So I feel like they're not focusing on boy groups as much as they should, and that could also be something. But
I think like it's like there's always this conversation in like the music business right now about like artist development being like a dead art form now, of just like people aren't putting the money in, they aren't putting the time in to see an artist through like past like 1 or 2 releases. And part of that is just like now that there's this avenue of like you could go viral on TikTok and blow up with like such little put in, that when that standard's not met, like labels and investors are just like less motivated to care. And like I don't like that. But that like is kind of like what it is right now.
Yeah.
And we see that in K-pop where like just groups disbanding so quickly and like just
it's sad though.
Just disappearing left and right, like, or just like not being prepared for success when it happens, like with 50/50's case. Everyone got greedy at the last minute. Yeah.
It's a shame.
I feel so bad for those members too, because they just went through so much, like mentally, physically, so much physically. But that's such an aside. I hate seeing idols being taken advantage of by the people around them. It's very disheartening.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think my point of the whole thing about artist development and reality is just people aren't as motivated to put the time and money in, like when there is a new avenue where it comes much easier, even though it's so much more like fickle and unpredictable and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, support your boy groups, y'all.
Yeah, support creatives and support music, and ideally we want to see things through the long term. Obviously it doesn't always work out that way because money is money, but
I recommend the boys if you're getting into anyone. They have really good concepts. Also Rise, also NCT, also BTS is on hiatus, but you can still listen to them and get into their solo music.
Okay, we should end this on like a positive note. What
groups
do you like right now and why?
Groups I love.
Or maybe songs. That's
songs?
better for you.
Okay, so while I was doing my research in quotations for K-pop for 5th gen, I came across this song by this boy group called POW.
Yes, I love them.
Dazzling. Yes, so good. And so that's something I like. That music, I like that song right now.
I love their voices. I also love Slow Dancing by them.
I'll probably, I don't know, I'm not really into standing culture, but I may get into their music a little bit more. Let's look at my K-pop mix on Spotify and see what songs. Okay, honestly, like you guys have already heard me, like I can't stress it enough how much I love NCT, and it's really embarrassing at this point. Like, I'm so sorry guys, but literally any NCT song. I really love the Sticker album, and I know that's really controversial, but the Sticker album besides Sticker, the Vampire Repackaged Sticker album is really good. Four Walls by FX. Walls by FX.
That song is that is like one of the best K-pop songs ever.
Love is for whoa. It eats every time. Do Jae Jung is so good.
So you have a lot.
I have a lot. NCT, Do Jae Jung, Perfume album.
I'm staring at Bree's poster of that album behind them.
Yeah, it's so good. Like every 2 weeks or so I listen to the album in its entirety, and
it is very good.
It's timeless every time. It's so good. Obviously New Jeans, we've already talked about them. Every single song from New Jeans. I love DJing New Jeans song.
Ooh.
My next song is gonna be Cool With You, and I can't wait to
hear
mix that.
It's gonna be a good set.
Yes, Red Velvet just came out with Chill Kill. I haven't listened to it, even though I'm desperately wanting the album. But Dum Dum by Red Velvet will always be a hit to me. I love, like, this summer I was putting that song on blast.
Yours is a lot of throwbacks.
I'm literally such a third, fourth gen person. It's crazy. Kingdom Come by Red Velvet as well.
That is a beautiful
Donut
song.
by Twice, since it's the Christmas season. I say listen to Donut by Twice. Run to You by Stacy.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, Do It Like That by TXT. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Don't know how you do it like that. Yeah. Okay. Last like 3. I'm so sorry,
I didn't think
guys.
you were gonna read your whole Spotify list.
I'm not even. I'm just like looking through it. Get It by Priston V, y'all. Oh my god. Okay, one more. I need to pick a good one. Oh, okay, 2. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Oh, 3. Okay, guys. Oh, 4. Okay, Eve Psych and the Bluebeard by Le Seraphim, and also Anti-Fragile by Le Seraphim, I guess. Dali by Hoi Lin, and every song by 17, but specifically, I don't remember. Why am I forgetting the song? But it goes, "Cause you're my everything, cause you're my everything."
I don't know what that song's called either.
Oh, that song is so good. It's on
Good
the
to me.
6. Yes.
Good to me. Good
You
for me.
Made My Dawn by 17. That whole EP is so good. And that's it. I
Okay.
know I said I'm not a K-pop fan anymore, and that was a lot, but those are my go-tos every single time I listen to K-pop.
I'll just do albums.
Wait, that's so smart.
Because, yeah, I'm not going to do individual songs, but I have been listening to Odd Eye Circle's recent album, Version Up. Really good. Right? Like, first album since, like, 7 years ago, and they killed it.
That's crazy.
Right? And then I've been listening to Pang Ye-dam's new album that just came out. He was a Treasure member. He left, I think, last year. I've been following him for a really long time. He's like one of the best vocalists ever. Like, he's such a good songwriter. He like has been writing since he was like 12.
Whoa.
He was on the same K-pop star season as Akmu was.
That's crazy.
And he was like 11 and he won second place. But he's just glorious singer. I love this new album. I've been listening to Dean's new song. I don't know if that counts as K-pop because he is R&B, but Die For You, very good. I always have Only One of On. They're always on. Instinct Part 1 is their best album ever. That's the one that everyone knows, Libido, and they know it for a reason. Obviously, love Triple S.
Yes.
We freaking love Triple S. I have been listening to Lovolution. That's one of their subunits. Muhan. The album is really good. And then also Evolution. They came out with Mujuk. Another great album. The 50 by 50/50. That album has been on repeat. It is so good. I love them. They're glorious. I've been listening to a lot of Yukika. Also not really K-pop, but
oh my gosh,
we love you. Soul Lady, that album was so good. Like,
so city pop if you're interested.
it's so good. That was like the perfect album to put out in 2020.
It was beautiful.
Now that I live in the city, it's like so appropriate all the time. Like, I love listening to it on the train.
I think it's so interesting that she's Japanese and she makes city pop in Korean, and I think that's so funny.
That's like such a specific niche too. But that aside, I've been listening to a lot of Zero Base One. I love them. Youth in the Shade and Melting Point. I've been listening to Get Up by New Jeans. Ooh. Good album. And then Young Love by Stacey. That album, younglove.com. Yes, that's my favorite Stacey album.
Well,
yes. Yeah, and I think that basically sums up. I've also been listening to Pow. They really surprised me. That's like one of the 5th gen debuts that like really took me aback. Like, I haven't been surprised by a boy group in a while.
I've heard that and I was like, oh,
right, because I've liked a lot of boy group stuff, but I was just like, this surprised me. I was like, whoa, they're kind of like boy 50/50 in a way. Like, beautiful voices, great gowns,
beautiful gowns.
But yeah, I think that's my sum up.
Okay, I know I said I was finished, but I have one more because I just remembered this. But Shout out to my mom. Lovely by Akmu.
Yes, that song's so good.
Every time that song came up on my For You page, I would do the dance and I would sing it, and it's such a good
I
cute
love
song.
Soohyun's voice. Like
I love
it's so
her.
clear and beautiful, and
Yeah.
she's like a princess.
If you're into like indie sibling duos, which is so niche, but if you're into that,
Into indie sibling duos, no, just on the side.
listen to Akmu. They're really good. And my
Yes.
mom loves them, so it's mother approved.
Yeah, I was about to say Troye Sivan, but that's not a K-pop album. I'm just looking at my Spotify now.
I love K-pop idol Troye Sivan.
Oh yeah,
I think that's it.
that is so funny. But
Dang. No.
we're gonna have to silence Brie.
I know. I thought I had more and I don't, but I just want to plug everything I usually listen to.
So funny.
Are we still boycotting Luna?
We're boycotting their official Spotify page, I think.
Okay, then if you're on SoundCloud, I say listen to all of Luna's music. Every single one is good. Every album, every solo, every like unit
My
album
favorite
is also great.
is Max and Match by Odd Eye Circle.
Ooh,
That album is so good.
I love man, oh man, why can't I remember what the units are called? 2018 me would
YY
be so
by Y,
disappointed.
and then 1/3, and then Odd Eye Circle.
I love YYXY.
The Love Forever music video was glorious.
But I can't remember the song. But I can remember the lyrics, but I can't remember the actual song. But chicken buckashpong.
Wait, I think that might be a 1/3 song.
It is 1/3 song. I couldn't remember what the song is called though. But also,
It's not My Melody.
if we're not boycotting Luna music videos, watch all of Luna's music videos and listen to 1/3. Well, listen to other.
I think it's Love and Live.
Love and Live. It is Live and Love. Love and Live. Well, Live and Love is a different song, but Love and Live is such a good song, and I feel like I don't know. I love it, and I feel like I'm in like a little world when I listen to that
Right.
song. So if you're on SoundCloud, pirate that music and listen to it,
Or
That's-
something, you know.
Yeah, or also listen to their new music, of course.
Yes.
I
We
think
love
that's
you,
it.
Luna.
We love you, Luna. Okay, I think that's it for today.
Yes. That was like such a fever dream of an episode. We were just talking about whatever.
I feel like I was not present. I was just like, my mouth was moving, but was I here? No, my brain was not working. But basically, yeah, K-pop industry is an interesting thing. Kind of sad, very eye-opening.
It's like there's a lot of good in there too, though. I
Oh.
would say, influence-wise, and just like what it can do for people mentally. I think that can go in one of two directions, or a secret third thing, maybe. But
A secret therapy.
but yeah, I think like as much as everyone talks about how like toxic things are, or how like bad K-pop is, like there's a lot of like
There's so much good, though.
yeah, there's a lot. Like it makes a lot of people happy, and it motivates them to interact with art in a lot of new ways, and just it's a cool thing when it's not terrible.
And it's a great way to meet friends.
That's so true.
I feel like I've met so many other I've met so many friends through K-pop, and friends I still have today, and it's kind of crazy that I'm still connected through those people, like through K-pop, even though we're genuine friends now. It's so interesting.
Yes. Well,
Yeah. That's this episode.
thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. This was so fun. What should the question be for this episode? What's your no, I don't want to ask a what's your blank
I
question.
didn't realize you had questions.
I always have questions. If you don't know, now you know, and you should answer those questions.
Do we answer these questions?
No, people who are
Okay.
listening answer the questions. What did you not know about K-pop until this episode? I guess that can be the question.
They're gonna be like, nothing you said was informative to me, actually.
At all. I knew every single thing
Yeah.
that you talked about in this
And
episode.
you were wrong about all of these things.
Loud and wrong. Sorry.
The basic question is, what's your favorite K-pop group?
What's your favorite K-pop group, guys?
What do
Even-
you like? What do you love about it? I don't
Yeah.
know. I want some like positive things. Like how has it impacted you in a positive way?
Ooh, that's a good one. How has K-pop impacted you in a good way? And if you're not a K-pop stan, I guess, I'll have a poll for you. I'll figure out what that poll should be, but it'll be something, and you should answer it, because that'd be really cool and fun and interactive.
Yay.
But yeah, this is that episode of The Corner. I hope you enjoyed this one. I know I feel like both episodes were equally chaotic. But I hope that you're enjoying the series. I think that it's a really fun one. It doesn't take too much like effort to make, and it's really fun to have conversations with friends all the time. There will be
never
more.
hearing me here again.
Oh, never. Addie's never coming back. I'm actually banishing her from the
Yeah,
podcast.
I'm never
Unfortunately.
speaking ever. So I just can't talk after this.
Never
after the
again.
mic goes off, it's over.
It's over. Addie will poof be gone. But I really hope you're enjoying it. There will be many more to come. I have a lot planned, and I hope that you are giggling and kicking your feet while you're listening to these episodes. And so sorry that these two first episodes have been so K-pop heavy, but trust, the next couple won't be. So if you're not a K-pop fan, they'll be more of interest to you, I guess.
Okay, bye.
Bye.